Beauties, it's Fafa here coming to you guys with another video. Today's video is going to be different because it's going to be pretty chatty. I posted a video about a week ago on Instagram using one of the tips that I use to keep my makeup flawless throughout the day if I'm going out and I'm not going to be able to reapply things throughout the day. And people were pretty receptive, so I thought I should make a video on it. So I decided to come up with 10 tips that I would use to keep my makeup looking good all day. If you are not following me on Instagram, I'm probably gonna put it somewhere on the screen so that you can follow me, and in the description box below so that you can be updated on when I'm gonna post and things of that nature. Interested to see what it is these tips are? Keep watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Number 1, if you're out and you know you're gonna be out for a long time and you don't really have time to reapply your makeup throughout the day, bring your beauty blender with you. I recommend a beauty blender. Y'all know if y'all have watched the previous videos, which if you haven't, you should. You know that I am partial to the beauty blender, but you can use any sponge. You can use those little wedges that you get from CVS. You can use a Real Technique sponge, which is about $6. You can even use the ones that you get from like eBay that's from China. Whatever it is, beauty blender is obviously the best choice out of all of those, but you can use it to blot your excess oils and sweat throughout the day because obviously because it's a sponge, it's going to absorb all of that stuff for you without you having to add an extra layer. Tip number 2, avoid highlighter brows. Now that is like one of my biggest pet peeves, I'm not gonna lie. I really hate when people's eyebrows and their brow bone looks extra highlighted. I feel like you're embarrassing me, especially as a dark-skinned chocolate woman. Like, we get flashback like that. And so a way to avoid that, only go one shade lighter under your brows. Just don't go too light. I know when the highlighter trend was happening, like the first time people learned how to highlight and contour, people were using 2 and 3 shades lighter concealers to highlight under their brows. Don't do that. I'm telling you, it's gonna look crazy. When the flash hits you, she is not loyal. She does not care. She will embarrass your life. Like, she will embarrass you. Like, she will embarrass you. If you're my complexion, maybe like if you guys are familiar with MAC, maybe like a NC45 will be fine. Something like that. Tip number 3. If you're having trouble finding foundations, especially again for beautifully chocolate skin, it's really difficult to find a foundation. Sometimes you could be in between shades. And if you have that issue, always go a shade darker because you can always lighten it up with concealer. Don't go lighter because what happens is flash. I'm telling you, she's not loyal and she will embarrass you. So, tip number 4, bring your setting spray. This is for mainly my dry skin girls. If you apply foundation and you put your powder on and you beat your face and you realize that your face kind of feels dry and tight and cakey, use setting spray to break that up. I know setting spray is a step that people skip a lot, kind of like primer, but it's really, really important. Even if you have oily skin, it'll help your makeup last all day. And if you have dry skin, it will break up the powderiness of your foundation so it looks a lot more skin-like, it looks a little more natural. And that's what you're going for when it comes to makeup. Tip number 5. Oh, we're almost done. We're like halfway. If you have an issue like I do where my hands don't stay still, like they're always shaking and always moving, wing liner can be difficult because you're gonna need a steady hand. And to help with that, I usually rest my pinky on my cheek like so, then drag out my liner like this. Because when you do that, it gives you a little bit more of a steady hand and you won't shake as much, which means your lines will be straighter. So I don't remember where I learned it from because I don't think I came up with that one by myself. But if I figure it out, I'll probably put it in the description box below. And it's probably Jackie Aina because I watch all of her videos religiously. Tip number 6. For those of you who crease really easily under your eyes, the whole warrior strike thing that beauty gurus and myself tend to do, that's not gonna work for you. You can't do that one. An alternative to that, you would have to set your under eye immediately after you put concealer on it, which means I would do it step by step. So if you do one side at a time, you do one side, you set it, then do the other side and set it, and it will prevent creasing a lot better than if you let it kind of set on your face a little longer. Tip number 7. If you don't have like fancy brush cleaner for your brushes, it's all good. Just use dish soap and olive oil. I've been using this for years on my brushes, and it gets your brushes super clean and it's super cheap, and that's like my favorite thing in the world. All you do is get a bowl, like a small bowl that you don't really care about. Get a little bit of dish detergent soap and an even smaller amount of olive oil. Don't put too much olive oil because you don't want your brushes to be greasy. Just kind of like I don't really measure it, but I guess it would be like half of whatever you put for your dish detergent soap. And a little bit of water, lukewarm or like even cold. Like I wouldn't recommend using hot water because it's going to loosen the glue in your barrel and then your bristles will start coming off or your barrel will come off. I had that happen with a few of my brushes. So I would use lukewarm water, olive oil, dish detergent soap, and just swirl your brush in that little solution and rinse it out. I promise you, it comes out really easily. You could even do it with your beauty blenders. You could do it with any brushes that you own. Tip number 8, if you apply, let's say for example, waterline, eyeliner in a waterline, usually you would drag down your eye so that you can see your waterline. But sometimes when you do that, you get fingerprints. And if you have that problem because you got sweaty hands or something, I don't know, use a brush to drag down your under eye, like this area, because it'll prevent fingerprints on all over your face. Because I've had that happen to me before. It's not fun. It's summertime. Everybody's hands are sweaty. So, just to prevent that from happening. Tip number 9, if you're running out of concealer, this is my favorite tip in this whole video, because when I found this out, I think, who did I learn this from? I can't even remember. When I found this out, I thought I was going to die. Like I was so my heart was full with the spirit of Jesus, because this is such a great tip. But anyway, if you're running out of mascara or concealer, just take the stopper out. I'm telling you, especially with, I don't know if you guys have the NARS the NARS Creamy Concealer. It seems like there's such little product for the $29 that you spent for that amazing thing. If you take the stopper out, because the stopper prevents concealer or product or whatever you have from getting on the barrel. So if you take the stopper out, then you have a whole bunch of products stuck in the bottom that never really had a chance to break free. And you're good for like a good month. I'm telling you, you can probably milk it for a month. Take your stoppers out. Don't take them out in the beginning. Take them out when everything is running out, when it looks like the concealer is finished. Because if you take it out before then, it'll be just a sloppy mess and you don't really want that either. And the last tip number 10, apply eyeshadow after you set your face, or put some translucent powder under your eyes when you're applying eyeshadow, because when you get fallout, which you often do get fallout when you're applying especially shimmer shades and things like that, if you get fallout and you have translucent powder under there, when you brush off the translucent powder, all of the fallout will come with it and you won't mess up your makeup. That is it. Those are my 10 tips. I hope you were able to stick through the end. And if you were, I really appreciate it. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.